February month. It is known as the Love Month.
Oh.
And we're talking about relationships and love. And we sort of wanted to try to give you some insight and some nuggets as to how to maintain and keep your relationships healthy. That's a real challenge for us today. Our schedules are so busy. We just got so much going on. And sometimes the ones that are closest to you, we will put them on the back burner because we think, well, maybe they should understand. Because
we're not just not talking about husband and wife.
No. Friends, family.
Mom and them.
Yes, relationships. So we just want to try to speak to when a relationship grows cold, what to do when a relationship grows cold. You know, you and your sister not speaking. Your next door neighbor with his grass cuttings in your yard and you're not speaking. You know, the folks that we commute back and forth with, cutting us off. And we want to run them down and, jam them in the back. I mean, just relationships.
So social media has created a different kind of relationship. And I can watch by some of the posts that some of those relationships have grown cold. I asked Kennedy, what give me an example of a relationship she's been through that's grown cold. She said, ooh, that's tough.
But I also asked her, why did it grow cold? And, she thought for a moment and she says, it grew cold because I did not respond the way Jesus would have responded. The focus wasn't on the problem or what caused it, but she said her response was not the way Jesus would have responded. Isn't that the cause of most of our broken relationships? Not responding the way Jesus would respond.
Ecclesiastes 3:1. Just let me give you the scripture, and then you pick back up. Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everything there is a season and a time. And a time. For every matter under heaven. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down. And you don't break down when you ought to be building up. Time to weep, time to laugh, and you shouldn't laugh when it's a time to weep. It's time to mourn and a time to dance. You shouldn't dance at the wrong time. You can be dancing when somebody is really in pain. Time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. This is not the time to hug me. I don't want to be hugged right through here. No, I don't need you to be close to me.
Give him this space.
Give me my space. There's a time.
Yes.
And a season. This is the problem. A couple of weeks ago, I had to drop Mable off, and she was going to be at the place for 2 or 3 hours, and before I came back to pick her up, she called me and said, bring me my coat. It's gotten cold. Bring me my long coat. It's gotten cold. You remember a few weeks ago, the day was nice. It had almost gotten up to 50 degrees. And around 4 or 5, there was a snow squall that came through there. And the weather just changed. Yeah. The problem is life will change. It can be sunny. And in a couple of hours, you can read one text and the weather changed. Woo! And you know, the fun about this is I know I'm going to get to the young people as much as I'm going to get to the old folks with this. Because y'all know one text can make you need a coat. Just one. Did I mention one post, one tweet can make everything just change. So we want to talk about what do you do when it gets cold. It gets cold. It's a season, maybe.
And you know, seasons come and go. They're inevitable. They're going to occur and reoccur.
Occur and reoccur.
Absolutely.
They
but
are
it's a
natural
season.
Reoccurrence.
Yes.
Seasons
There's nothing unnatural about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing extraordinary about it.
Wintertime is going to come. You can expect it. In the summertime, you know wintertime is going to come, and you need to expect it, and you need to prepare for it. That's the thing. You know it's going to come. It is nothing unusual in your relationship for wintertime to show up. There's nothing unusual, nothing unusual. Don't fall all apart and think it's all over because wintertime showed up. All my grass is brown. It's just brown. All the grass is brown. All the grass is brown right now. But when in the summertime when it was green, I knew it was going to turn brown. And I didn't get upset when it turned brown because seasons are natural reoccurrences. But the problem is when you don't prepare for them, when you think it's always going to be summertime or fall or spring, you were really, spring is wonderful, isn't it? Spring is so nice, and the fall is so nice. The leaves are changing and all of that, and just beautiful. Yeah, that's wonderful. But wintertime is coming, and so what do you do when wintertime comes? To everything there's a season. To everything there's a season. We have seasonal clothes. Well, everybody doesn't have seasonal clothes.
Around April and May, it's like, what do I
What
wear?
do I wear? For some people, they don't have to figure out what to wear April, May, because they just have clothes. I was going to say this, but there's somebody here that's guilty of this, and I'll hurt his feelings. It bothers me please forgive me, to see a man with a short sleeve shirt on in the wintertime. I understand, but I really do understand because, see, in my stage in life, I can sort of afford to have seasonal clothes. to have long sleeve shirts. I have wool long sleeve shirts. Wool long sleeve shirts. But you know, early in life, when I just had enough to buy a shirt, I had to buy a shirt that was going to has to be no matter what the season.
Okay.
But you need to have seasonal clothes to keep you warm when you're going through the winter time of relationships when it's cold. What made you comfortable when it was nice and the weather was pleasant, sun was shining? When it starts snowing in your relationship, you need some different apparel to help you.
All right, let's talk about some of those weather conditions.
But we are talking about families now.
Okay.
Families, we can fight. Y'all know some families
Fall out.
we can fall
Yeah.
out and still come to Thanksgiving dinner. But one sits way over there, the other sit over there, and you know. We can really fight in church. Ooh, that social media, the stuff has always been there. It's always been there. Social media did not create a lot of stuff. It's always been there. You just didn't know about it. It just wasn't public. It wasn't exposed, but social media just exposes, you know. But church folk, there's a man that had lived on an island, marooned by himself for many, many years, and cruise ship came by, and somebody was on the deck and looked out at his island and saw this man. He said, "That's a man over there on that deserted island." And so they got a smaller boat out, and so they could go to the island. And so they went to the island. They got there, and asked the man, said, "How are you doing?" He said, "I'm doing fine." He said, "You here all by yourself?" He said, "Yeah, I'm here all by myself." "How long you been?" "I've been here a long time." "Really? All by yourself?" "Yeah." No. They said, "Well, what are those three structures on the island?" Right there. He said, "What's the one?" He said, "The one over there on my right." "See the one on the right?" He said, "That's my house." "Oh, okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense." He said, "See that one on the far left?" Said, "That's my church." Said, "So you have a church?" "Yeah, I have a church. That's my church." He said, "Well, what's the one in the middle that's sort of sitting back like this?" He said, "Well, that's my old church. I don't go to that church. I had to leave that church.
And he's the only one on the
He's
island.
the only one on the island.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, all right, some of y'all get that, okay. Several things that cause.
Well, unclear expectations.
Write that down. One thing that causes a cool breeze to blow over
Unclear
your
expectations.
relationships. Actually, snow. This is not a cool breeze. This is a snow. Unclear expectations.
So I'm frustrated, and it's all in my expectations.
It's in my expectations. A young lady that told me that had only been married like 8 months, and I asked her, I said, "What had you learned in your marriage?" And this is the first thing she told me. 8 months in marriage. Said, "Your frustrations, I've learned, your frustrations are in your expectations." You know, expectations need to be clear. You know, the ninth commandment, anybody know what the ninth commandment is? Thou shalt not give false testimony against your neighbor. That's the ninth commandment. But checking out assumptions is a simple but powerful tool to eliminate conflicts in relations. Checking out assumptions. Somebody say assumptions. You assume Every time I make an assumption about someone who has disappointed me without confirming it, I believe a lie in my head. Every time I make an assumption about what someone has said, someone's done, and not confirm it, I believe a lie in my head.
So can we say that expectations are when we can expect people to do what we have agreed to do?
Yes, yes.
Agreement.
Yeah.
If there's no agreement, well, then that expectation is not real.
Write this down. I think you've heard it before, but you didn't write it down before, so you don't remember it. Expectations are only valid when they have been mutually agreed upon.
Okay.
Tell me what I said.
Expectations.
Agreed upon.
So I choose my wife, and I'm expecting her to prepare meals every day. I'm expecting her to do all of the domestic chores because that's what I expect of a wife, because that's what my mother did.
Yeah.
Is that a real expectation?
In order for expectations to be established, they must be right quick. In order for expectations to be established, they must be right quick. Ready? They must be conscious. I have to become aware of the expectation. I have to be aware of it. It needs to be realistic. Don't have an unrealistic expectation
So
of me.
don't go into a marriage without discussing your expectations.
Yeah.
And being
let it
fully
be
aware
realistic.
of your expectations.
In-
Realistic.
It needs to be
Expectation.
spoken. It needs to be spoken. Speak it clearly, directly, and respectfully. Tell me
Yeah.
what your expectation is.
Don't just assume.
You don't see what's going on back there. They have to be agreed upon. Have to be agreed upon. So if that's the expectation of the husband, it's not that that's wrong. It's just not valid unless the wife has agreed to that.
Yes. Mutually agreement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should there's some wives that expect husbands to, give me an example, somebody. Fill the gas tank. Yeah. That's take out the trash. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's legitimate, except it's not valid. See, there's nothing wrong with it being legitimate. It's different than being legitimate and being valid. It's only valid if you articulated that, clearly articulated it, and you articulated it in a respectful way.
Yeah.
In a respectful way. Unrespectful would be, now you know, you're gonna have to be putting gas in I ain't putting no more gas in my car. I ain't taking out the trash. It has to be in a respectful way. Yeah. So it has to be agreed upon. It has to be agreed upon. Differing values.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Everybody sit up. I want to see everybody literally
That's a
just
big
sit
one.
up. I want to see everybody do that. Sit up. Married folks, sit up. I want to see. Y'all ain't sitting up. I want y'all to sit up so I know you're really listening to me. Young couples, y'all listening? A problem is when you and your spouse have differing values. You have different aspirations.
Wow.
One stops growing and the other continues to grow. You are not pursuing the same goal. How do I say that any other way? In Michelle's book, Michelle Obama's book, she talked about how it just became a little challenged when Barack began to pursue the political career, his political career, because he had to be away when he was a state senator, and then he was and be away from the kids, and it was just a challenge. If any of y'all watch This Is Us? This Is Us. You remember when Randall ran for council? Some of y'all don't know. He ran for a council seat, and his wife had told him, said, now listen, you do this, you're on your own. There are a lot of marriages when the spouse decides to do that, the other spouse doesn't say, now if you do that, you're on your own. But they say it in their mind. And you can just notice, seems like I'm on my own with this. I don't get no affirmation. I don't get no support. Or the problem is you're not marching toward the same goal together. A house divided against itself cannot stand.
There's no connection. There's no connection. Totally disconnect.
James says a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. You have to be. Sound like we're talking to married folk, though. We weren't supposed to. Okay.
It goes across the board.
It goes across the board. Okay. You need to be marching together, particularly if you're married. You have to have the same goals in life. And in your church, thank you. Who said that? Thank you. And in your church, that's right. If you're going to do ministry together, if you're going to be on the praise team, the praise team has to have the same goal in mind of what kind of music are we going to sing. If not, you'll be wanting them to do so-and-so, and they don't want to do. That's not what they do. You have to have same goals.
Yes.
Am I making sense about this?
Yeah.
All right, Mabel. Let's
Okay.
see.
We got to hurry. We don't have much time left.
It's 5 minutes.
Unforgiveness. Unforgiveness. Whew, that's a big one.
Unforgiveness.
Attempting to always get revenge. Attempting to always get revenge. Family. Daughter goes out, stays out over the curfew time. Now, I'm not saying when wrong is done, it should not be confronted and taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want to punish and get revenge for their offense, and there's no compassion, there's no love, there's no communication, there's no nothing. You're just going to get even.
It's called punitive punishment.
That's what it's called?
Punitive, yeah.
Okay.
Is that the right word?
All right.
Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah,
the doctor said
yeah,
yes
yeah.
over here.
Punitive. It's not restorative or corrective.
Yes.
It's punitive.
That's exactly what
I'm
trying-
going to punish you because you did that. The punishment is not, it's not corrective to help
Yeah.
you remember the
Yeah.
next day. It's punitive. Yeah. Mixing guilt and blame causes bitterness. When you really know, you really know you were at fault. You really, but you can't acknowledge that you were at fault. You can't. So what you do is you blame the other person, rather than acknowledging that you were wrong. And when you mix the two, when you mix the two, it creates bitterness. With you, you become bitter because you know you got this thing down on the inside and you know you were wrong. But you blamed the other person, and it creates a root of bitterness, and a root grows.
Yeah, it spreads.
It spreads. Now, something else in this unforgiveness thing, and what causes bitterness is having temporal values. Having temporal values, material values. They never paid you back the money. They broke your something. They're just temporal values, and it's more important to you, this piece of thing that they broke, than the person is. So I said that was major. The thing, the money is more important to you than the relationship.
Yeah.
And it ain't that much money. And that's what you say. That's what you say. You say it ain't about the money.
It happens in families
Yes,
all
it
the
did,
time.
yeah.
Mama passed away, and she leaves a few pennies. And the person that may have taken care of mom, takes advantage of the situation and take their, piece of the inheritance off the top, and, give the leftovers and the scraps to the siblings, the other siblings, and family's not speaking over something that wasn't even theirs in the beginning, And, the person that got all of it or whatever, in a few months, they're not going to have anything. It's going to be gone because it wasn't gained in the right way. So is it worth it to harbor that unforgiveness and let that root of bitterness grow and fester over something that's not yours in the beginning? You didn't earn it. You didn't work for it. And that individual, that sister, that brother is going to have to deal with their wrongness. God says, vengeance is mine. I will repay. Carefront them and let it go. Carefront them and let it go. God will reward you.
Something else that causes bitterness is taking up offenses.
That's a big one.
What I mean with that, the person didn't lie on you. They lied on your friend, and your friend told you, and now you took up that offense. They didn't lie on you. They lied on your friend, and your friend told you, and you're upset with the person that lied. They lied, but they didn't lie on you. And so you've taken up that offense. I had that happen to me. I was at a meeting, and I said something regarding a pastor, and the way I said it didn't mean any harm. But another pastor went back and told that pastor what I said, but he didn't say it in the context or the tone that I said it. And so when he received it, he was really upset with me. He's really upset with me. And he talked to another pastor about the situation, asking him what should he do. How should he handle it? And so The other pastor got upset with me, and I didn't know he was upset with me, but he was acting funny, but I didn't know why he was acting funny. And this is the problem. Me and the pastor that I said something to, we fine. We done made up. I'm preaching for him, going out to eat. But the other pastor that took up the offense, he's still upset with me. Even though this pastor, that one that we had defense against, that's the problem. When you take up other folks' offenses, they make up. They apologize for lying on you. Y'all fine. But now what you still friends with them for? You know what they did to you. I wouldn't be speaking. Why you still speaking to them? What you calling them for? Don't go out. Don't invite them. What you invite them for? You took up an offense. All right. All right. Shall we talk about that one? Go skip over that.
Let's skip over that one.
Skip over that. Go to.
Let's talk about physical life changes. Physical life changes.
You on your own.
I was at Fran's aunt's funeral, and I had remarks, and people that was there, they know what I. But she was such a stately lady. I mean, a godly lady, and you know, when people start maturing, aging, you know, things happen in their body, their hormones and their emotions, and so I just said, Aunt Dot was not a bitchy woman. And the pastor reprimanded me, but I thought the way I used the word, you know, I really wasn't using profanity, but it was not acceptable. It was not acceptable at all. But us elderly women, we must be careful, because, you know, we can be in a bad mood. Our anxiety level is up. We're irritable. We're angry and don't even know why. So, you know, anybody that cross our path, they just gonna get it. You know, we don't have nothing nice to say. We're always grumbling and complaining, and Lord help us. And, you know, our estrogen, it's a physical condition.
Estrogen.
Yeah. It starts diminishing. And that causes us to be, you know, not so easy to live with. So we just need to be in tune with who we are and what's going on. Don't blame and point the finger to everybody else. You know, well, they just get on my nerves. They all the time. Come on, give us a break. Do you always have to complain about something? Do you always have to complain about something? That causes, for wintertime, people don't want to be around, you know, folks that are irritable and hard to get along with.
And so you have to know that as you grow older, ladies, as you grow older, your estrogen, no, we don't lose estrogen. We lose something, but we don't lose estrogen. We lose something. Can I just give me a minute? Just give me a minute. Because I don't want you to miss this point.
Okay.
You have to understand you lose estrogen.
Yeah.
And estrogen is the thing that makes you nice.
Yeah. It makes us mellow.
Mellow. Yeah. Men, we lose testosterone. You know, and most of the time we associate the loss of testosterone with sexual activity. But that's not the only thing. It affects our mentality, how we think, how we process. We can become depressed. We can become moody. we can do because of a loss of testosterone. So just understand that as you grow older, you have to guard yourself about being bitchy. And all right, okay.
All right, we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up. I don't
up.
know how we're going to wrap it up. We got a lot more in our notes. But anyway.
Because they've got to start meeting each other's emotional needs.
They got to start meeting each other's.
If you don't meet if married, this is for married couples, their emotional needs.
Yes. Yes.
When my emotional needs are not met, then I'm an emotional wreck. When my emotional needs are not met, I'm an emotional wreck. Okay? And the number one emotional need for men and women, the number one emotional need for a woman is
affection.
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 Affection. This okay.
We got to hurry up.
All right, okay, all right, I got the text message. I promise. This can I say this represents the woman, the phone, this iPhone. Euphemistically. Is that the way to say it? Euphemistically. Wonderful, wonderful device. But if it doesn't get electricity, it doesn't work. Got to have.
It's just that simple.
It's just that simple. I don't care if I'm mad. I don't care if I'm upset. I don't care whatever. I know if she didn't charge her phone overnight when we driving somewhere, I need to give her the cord to the phone so she can charge, or else. And a woman, it's not that she wants affection. It's not a want. There you go. It's a need. Does this phone want electricity? Come on, talk to me.
No.
It needs it. It cannot function without it. So, husband, I don't care what she's done. I don't care what she did. I don't care what she did or didn't do. Didn't do. Ain't doing. Ain't doing. Didn't do. You've got to give her number one emotional needs got to be met. Number one emotional need for a man.
Sexual fulfillment.
Sexual fulfillment. It's not a want. This is the key to my car. This represents the man, the key to the car. Nice Volvo. I'm loving my little Volvo. But if I don't get gas in that Volvo, pretty as it is, nice as it is, if I don't get gas, I don't care if I washed it and polished it and paid the note, got insurance on the tags. If I don't get gasoline, I don't function without my gasoline. And normally I get gasoline from Costco. Costco has it cheaper than any other place. I normally get, and if I have to go out somewhere else, I could get gas somewhere else, but I don't want gas from nobody, nowhere else but Costco. It just, I drive by gas stations. They're pretty gas stations. Oh, they're just nice. Lights and self-serve. Oh, Lord. Just nice. But I know, listen, I know the gas at Costco, I'm not going to get any contaminants in my gas. It has detergents in it. It's clean. It's clean.
Amen. Because we have got to stop. Amen. God bless you. We love you all. We're going to be praying for our relationships.